Okay, I'm ending the poll question and sharing the result with all of us. So number one was our degree of rest in the sit just now. Um, Vast majority seems to be at around 8 to 7, with 10 being fully resting, settled, unforced, 0 being completely agitated, restless, and contracted. All right. What type of challenges did we face? Um, Most dominant one is I keep getting lost in thoughts and mental proliferation and intense sensation that were difficult to be with. Seems to be the most prominent challenge we face. How was your sit, Frank?
Very quiet and silky. So deeper absorption towards the end. Buzzing sound, buzzing. I was like tuning into the group. That was like um my way of embodying is like tuning to the group, vastness.
Yeah,
Mm.
embodiment isn't
Very
just about yourself, right?
yeah, yeah. How was your sitcom?
I would say the rehearsal we did on Thursday was much more blissful. I guess this also makes sense. We got a lot of people here, so different kind of energy. So today it feels more like a deep, like diving very deep.
Mm,
And there's this sense of pressure on around, but there's also that kind of tranquility, just very silent.
yeah. I think this one for me is more blissful
Mm.
than the rehearsal one.
I
John,
felt
what
more
about you?
heat on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder, you expound on that heat. Is it taking
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
karma? It's like what's
It
the
must be. This heat is a byproduct of the friction, right?
combustion?
Right, combustion. Yeah. So really, maybe how everything was gathered, all the conditionings that were here, just set me on a path of just allowing things to combust.
Mm,
The process of what I was doing was becoming purified in a way. And yeah, so I have a lot of heat coming off me now. I think that has a lot to do with the group that we're into. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Each of us, one of us, bringing in our own conditionings, whether that's like throughout our lifetime or even just throughout the day. But that's actually sort of the workout of the day. It's like in the book here we talk about we just bringing coming as you are, like all of our conditioning, even getting lost in thought, other affliction. That's actually your workout of the day. Like you're not trying to resist that. You're actually trying to, like John said over and over in the video, kind of like holding all these different vectors, contending with all different paradoxes, different contradictions. I want to be here. I don't want to be here. Different vectors of desire, and then having the fitness to contain, hold all of that, and then that's, I guess, the byproduct of that is the fizzling, the heat, the combustion, the purification. Um, so that's the whole
yeah,
thing about coming as you are, paying homage to your affliction, not annihilating
yeah,
it, like working through it.
yeah, really making contact with all those aspects of ourselves, right? Nothing left behind. And now that I think about maybe where a lot of us are coming from, we're not used to maybe how CC does our sessions, right? We're very not focused on techniques or direct instructions as far as like do this here, do that there. Actually, this one was a lot more directed than most of our sits in CC, which is transmission based. But
Mm.
so yeah, really, I'm really trying to describe as little as possible, but
Yeah.
something that some people might not be used to as far as
Mm. One of the side effects that we noticed from talking and observing in our own path, but also just more of the online scene of meditative practices. When we focus on guided meditation with a lot of clear instruction, just do this, just do that, sure, that's very helpful to drill and exercise us to produce certain state or acquire skills, but it doesn't get us to the point of be able to create a personalized instruction that work for us. That's
Right.
one. But number two is also could slowly uh, kill off your agency. It produces a kind of phenomenon of non-dual zombie. And we just want to go into that instruction. Just keep noting or keep inquiring or keep
Keep
scanning.
dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Keep saying like thoughts are just thoughts.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Because we
but
just want to loop that instruction and then we don't see that, oh, that instruction has become the thing that you cling to.
yeah. I think we're gonna talk a lot about consistency. Like there's so much inconsistency we bring into our practice or just throughout our lives that we're not aware of. Uh, and even the
Yeah.
inconsistency to a certain state, certain technique.
Right.
Yeah.
I just pulled out 8 questions. There are more, but I think these 8 questions could be quite exemplary. We may not have all the time to go through all 8 of them, um, but let's go through some first. Let me read out one question. Can you say something about how emotion is held in the body? I start crying when we pass through an expanded throat area. I really enjoy the breathing from the earth upward. Very helpful.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I can speak a little too about to it a little bit. I think if you really looked at some of the different schools of practice, like people can get as defined as saying this certain emotion lives in this certain part of the body. Um, and that can be used as kind of a guide or a map, right? But not everybody is going to have the same constitution, right? So it's not necessarily like, oh man, all my anger is in my liver, or that's like for everybody. But it's more important to become really intimate with your own composition of that. And so it's not so important that you know, like, okay, liver or anger is stored here. It's more that you're connecting to, like, I have something here. And in the process of becoming intimate with it, that's like the treasure versus actually knowing where all these things are, right? You look at a acupuncture chart, you have all those points and meridians. Um, those are a guide, but on every certain body, those points are actually in different locations, different densities, and all these different things. So it's really good that you're able to connect with emotions from there, right? But it's not so important that you need to know exactly what that where it is exactly, right? Like, so it's like not too important that the content is what it means, but that you know that it's there first to make contact with it. So this exercise is really to find the edge. So it sounds like you were there able to really get to the edge of this emotion that popped its head when we use the breath to go there. So really, once you get to the edge, we stay there, and in staying there, and as the intimacy grows, that's where we can see. For me, oftentimes a memory will pop up, and it's kind of related to that, and it's such a
Yeah.
personal story. So,
Yeah. Like these sensation, we make contact with it, right? That's great about I think the way John you route us like these waves that the breath can regulate and take us. And throughout these waves, sensation become like clusters of cloud of sensation on over here, and then some sort of narratives pop up. Then we enter an emotion, right? Like then we become sad, or then we become angry or frustrated or whatever. And I think the more we allow that to unravel, it would naturally reach a point of cessation. It will cease. What's really cool about allowing that to cease is the pain point become line of tension. Like that's the unraveling, right? Because for example, just the throat here, I see one of the well, the thing I used to try to do a lot, which is like just scanning, 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 and trying to get rid of it, but allow it to flower and blossom. It links all the way to the different parts of the body. And then like the entire line of tension starting to reveal itself, like connect from here to like here to like all the way to the toes.
Mhm. And
But
obviously,
if
for each one of us, yeah, the meaning of how what that is what we make of it, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Yeah, one cool thing I think about this kind of riding the breath and this type of body scanning is that, m many times we can kind of dissect our process through like maybe a mental pathway, like, oh, that's right, I think this way, and if I trace back, I think this way because of this prior situation, how I held this, and all this meaning we're tracing backwards, which is nothing wrong with that, right? There's no right or wrong way, but doing this body scanning, it's almost like we bypass the meaning and we're starting from the opposite side
Mm.
of just making
Yeah.
contact with that sensation and seeing kind of where the meaning arises out of that. And I saw someone mention like, yeah, throat is very associated with expression and those types of energies. But really, it's just about once we make contact with it, you can spend a lot of time exploring what that meaning is for you. So memories will
Mm.
pop up, all sorts of things.
And for
Yeah.
those, maybe Frank, you can help introduce to everyone the principle of feel first,
Feel first.
interpret.
I was just about to say
Yeah, yeah.
that.
But
That's one
this
of
is a
the,
principle, right? This
this is
is
the
like
principle. Yeah.
work across all kind of techniques.
All kinds of technique is feel first, interpret later. Yeah. Because a lot of times we have these like a mental proliferation, but the mental proliferation is actually co-arising and connected to a certain emotion. But they're kind of in this co-conspiracy. Like they keep each other alive. You feel a certain way, and then you interpret. There's a story around it. And the story like reinforces, then verify the feelings, the emotions, and then vice versa. It's just like a feedback loop. So for a lot of practice, because it's so difficult to just let our thoughts be the way they are and just allow them to arise and cease, one of the most fundamental practice is actually just to go to your body, neither resisting nor non-resisting. Feel your body, feel your emotions, exactly what we're doing here. And then decouple the story and the linkage, the co-arising process between feelings and thought. Um, Not to say that that's like the only or the ultimate way you have to just always feel your body and then just like decouple thoughts all the time, but just as a way to de-escalate the fact that we're constantly thinking, proliferating. And you see that a lot of times we proliferate just so we don't feel. We spend all time thinking so we don't feel into our body. Like John said, like we can't sit with our energy.
Mhm.
So then we just
Mhm.
go into storyland. And then
Especially for modern
modern
beings like
beings,
us, right?
yeah.
Like we're so torn in a million pieces with our attention. Like I gotta take care of that, gotta pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And narratives and stories and analysis just runs constantly. What's gonna happen after this? Am I ready to like do this thing on Sunday? Whatever, whatever. Constantly.
We're not, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We're not
Yeah.
trying to get rid of that and have none of that process going on. But through this training, that process becomes very clear. So we know
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say every technique, whether that's staying with the body or even like inquiry, whatever it is, it's just a medicine. Like I think a lot of times the mistake is re mistaking the medicine for the end or for the ultimate.
Mhm.
But like, even dropping the ball or
Mhm.
vipassana, whatever it is, having like no thoughts, even
Yeah.
stillness, equanimity,
Yeah.
it's
Like
just
the
medicine.
decoupling
Yeah,
that you were
decoupling.
talking about, it
Yeah,
doesn't
even
mean
that's a
to
medicine.
decouple everything, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
definitely a remedy or a medicine for the current condition for a
Well,
lot of
whatever
people.
condition is like
Mm.
you're bringing in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. For question three, how can I deal with intense sensations of the day, specifically lower back tightness and pain? Yeah, shout out Jordan. Um, very much Jordan was someone who applied that very quickly, right? Maybe Jordan, you can speak about it a little bit from two public practice week ago.
Oh yeah, that was two public practice weeks ago. I couldn't even sit down for like 5 minutes. It just hurt so much. I had like 6 months of back pain that started from meditating too much. I guess I started meditating for like 3 weeks and I got back pain. It never went away. But I got recommended by
Albert?
Albert in that
Yeah.
practice week, and by the next day. my back was better. I could sit for the over an hour during the public practice week. I was like pretty much fine. So for me, it had something to do with like suppressing my anger that I didn't really consider it suppressing. I was just like, oh, I just tell myself it's not a big deal, and then my anger goes away. So I solved it. But for me, it was just like causing a lot of tension in my back. So now I view it as like, oh yeah, I've been suppressing my emotion and it turns into tension. But like just seeing that and just like hearing a bunch of like in the audiobook, it comes up with like lots of examples where someone had like, oh, a really bad back, and then they learn that it's caused by suppressing back pain or like suppressing anger. And just hearing that over and over, you're like, oh, maybe that's what I'm doing because hearing that explanation, it made sense. But I couldn't have figured it out by myself because it's just like
Yeah.
I didn't see it as suppressing. I'm just like, oh, that's just how I'm like, I'm never angry. It's great. It
Yeah.
works really well. But
Yeah.
just having that effect on me, like seeing that that's what's going on, then like by the next day I could sit again. So yeah, that changed my
Mhm.
life.
That's one of the things
Right.
about embodiment training is that we may familiarize ourselves in pain and suffering so much that we just are not in pain.
Yeah, there's
This
certain
is
like
just normal.
unconscious insistency even in that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't feel pain or I feel this or that way. But then it's like if you're insisting on something, that means that you must be ignoring something or suppressing something. So that's why the Buddha said ignorance conditions suffering. But the ignorance, what is ignorance? It's ignoring. So you can say that everything we're doing here is just to bring up whatever you've been ignoring and seeing whatever you're
Mhm.
insisting on. And just bring it all online, let them talk to each other.
Mhm.
That's the what's creating the
Look at how
split.
we're holding it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They
So we can
all kind
call
of
it
split.
shame or whatever, but it's how we are holding it,
Mm,
relationship to
Yeah.
this content. Yeah.
Same, I guess this can tie into question. I'm holding my breath. It feels like I can't fully inhale and I can't fully exhale. What do you
Mhm.
recommend I do? It's also like a similar thing about we feel to that edge, and then it's very stifling. It's very suffocating even.
mm,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it can get really intense, right? All the things that come up. So the practice here is really to sit with the edge. So in that feeling of being stifled, there is an edge to it, and it's really subtle, right? I think if it's already kind of feeling that sort of way, it's probably already held in such a way where there's a lot of things around it. So in a way, it just takes resting into that edge. It takes time, right? Like this session, even though it sounds really, really basic, there's a lot there to explore actually. So um yeah, the breath itself is it's really everything. Our whole experience can be inside this breath that's happening. Um so
mm.
just continue to sit with the edge of your breath, It's not going to come exactly the first time for a lot of people.
Yeah, because we talk about this split, right, between body, mind, self, and world, subject, object. But then once you really start to come to the edge of that split, it's like that's where the training is. Like that's where the fitness is. And like John
Mm,
said, you ride the breath. It's not like the breath is like we have to like always concentrate on the breath, but as a gateway to like ride that edge and then let all these different aspects of the split start to like cohere. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there
Yeah.
could be a lot of things for why someone's breath doesn't how it can be restricted, right? So it's up to us really to spend the time to explore, and really we explore from the edge slowly. I think a lot of the tendencies of people nowadays, right, just because of our I'm an example of being super extreme. We want to jump right to it.
Yeah, they just
No breath.
overshoot
Yeah,
or
right.
like
Yeah,
contract
yeah,
back to once you reach
right.
the edge, it's like you either
Yep.
contract back
So
to your old pattern or you overshoot to like, oh, let's
right,
just
right.
constantly expand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we want to
So
stretch the sensation, right? Like
Yeah.
we want to come in and
exactly.
stretch it out.
Can you just
So if we
rest, stay?
feel, we feel that, oh my breath feels tight. So a lot of us want to
Yeah,
just take the
yeah.
deepest breath, like, oh fucking shit, let me just rip this shit apart. And what we end up doing is just numbing that signal out. We're not able to read this data, this raw data that's there. So yeah, I mean, it's even in athletics, you have a tight hamstring, our first thing that we're taught is like, oh, let's just stretch it. Sure, that
Mm.
might release that give you that range of motion for the time being, but we're not really getting to the root of why your body wants to hold it that way. So we're really reverse engineering through this very, very gentle, non-rushing, intimate direction, so it takes practice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the middle way instruction is neither resistance nor non-resistant, right? Yeah, there's a lot to that. That's what it feels like to
Yeah.
be like resting as the edge.
Right. So maybe the big part about this also, um, this is my personal challenge I've dealt with many, many times. What can be done if it's so overwhelming that my body falls asleep? This is one of the common hindrance, right? Sloth
Mm.
and torpor. Like we
Mhm.
shut down and collapse.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like literally do this
yeah.
or like just do this.
It's almost like when we reach the edge, coming closer to the edge or like where our afflictions are, like we can't help but just like go offline because we don't want to look at it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that I'm just really boring too, but a lot of times the sloth and torpor is a protection mechanism, actually, right? When we reach the edge of maybe understanding or whatever it may be, it's different for everybody. But yeah, yeah, our bodies kind of do that on purpose to protect ourselves from not wanting to make contact with something a lot of times.
Yeah.
Or even
We
like
just,
the
yeah.
other side of like grasping onto light or bliss. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually the same view, just coming from the
Mm.
opposite extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to grab to the light or you want to grab to darkness?
Yeah.
That's what we just talked about, right, Frank, today, about in the breakout room, we were discussing that there are a part of us that do not care about awakening, do not care about all these things. We would prefer to be ignorant.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
body would literally act like that.
Yeah.
For me, this it was like, oh, interesting. I was seeing how, like, leaning forward a little bit to feel the sits bones.
Mm.
And then couple instruction later, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm back in the tailbone. How did this happen? So it
Mm.
just slowly, like smallest micro choices, were
Yeah.
just slowly collapsing my structure back
Yeah.
to this. And then I have to rebuild it and then collapse again and I have to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's it right there.
It's constant, right? Like I think I kind of touched upon it, how it requires consistent attention, working
Put it in the
against
red.
something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This gravity is never ceasing, and to be graceful with it takes, a constant attention to it, working with it. So,
Oh yeah, that's also cut strikes right to the realization, right? It's not a state that you activate once and then it's like, oh, you got it. Congratulations. Now it's like your life is perfectly fine. It's an ongoing seeing, ongoing recognition. It's a
mm,
level of fitness that you can maintain.
mm,
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these holding patterns just wants to sustain themselves, right? It's like any kind of matrix, it's built in, right? It wants to like self-protect. So what we're doing here really is to slowly repattern these, what we call the self or identity, are just a bunch of holding patterns. And we're slowly breathing life into these patterns we're unconsciously holding. That's what's creating the contractions, the split and
Yeah.
the boundaries and stuff like that. Yeah. We're not trying to like annihilate it. We're not trying to like expand so we don't look at it. We're trying to just let it express, let it repattern. But how do you like not overexpress versus like avoiding it completely? That's the edge, sort of like the nuance of riding. It's like
yeah.
surfing. Yeah, it's like learning how to surf.
It's like, and in this process too, I was trying to guide in a very non-rushed, slow way, because it's really easy for us to spill out and overshoot.
Mm.
I think that's just a tendency of a lot of us nowadays when I just get to the point, whatever that point may be. But you guys can take some of this techniques and try it on your own, and just spend some time with it. But it's really about slowly approaching that edge. It's
Mm.
new territory for a lot of people. So, some people are reporting just feeling dizzy and just all this release happening, right? A lot of times we just sit in a way that is, uh, you know, new to us. It just allows for all this release, all that energy can really be destabilizing, right? Um, yeah, which kind of speaks to another, I think, challenge of being a solo practitioner. Like when we have all this stuff spill out, who's there to kind of reflect what we're doing back to us, you know?
Yep. Anybody wanna share out? Like I know we are going back and forth in the chat. Anyone wanted
Yeah,
to
let's hear
share?
from
Yeah.
the audience. Yeah, just all
I'm
this
just curious
positive.
what the dizziness means. Do you guys know what the dizziness means? You said something about releasing.
I
Hey,
mean, all these,
so, oh, apologies. I'll let you go first, bro. Um,
Oh, yeah, I'm done. I was just
yeah.
asking about the dizziness and what
Oh,
do you
okay,
guys.
okay. In terms of dizziness,
Mm.
it's kind of like almost like when your foot falls asleep when you're sitting on the toilet for too long. But like I kind of felt that in like my gut and lower intestines almost, like at certain points within the sit. Um, it's like Frank described like a buzzing type of sensation. I would
mm,
say the most intensely I felt during this sit was like within my heart. I
mm,
closed my eyes and it kind of felt like this spiraling, almost corkscrew type of feeling. It was very deep, kind of like drilling deep into just that
mm,
area into my body. And so there was like just a real like vibratory type of buzz in there.
yeah, you think about when something is fragmented from us or that we've built armor around it, that signal, it becomes cut off, right? Just like the analogy you're using when your foot falls asleep. Usually when your foot falls asleep, it's asleep. What really feels weird is when it starts waking back up again. That's super uncomfortable, right? So parts of our being, parts of our body, when it starts getting that, what did I call it? Animating force kind of put back into it, where it's that stagnation is allowed to start moving again, it's gonna feel really fucking intense. Even when my foot falls asleep, it's I have to let it wake up really slowly, or else it's just like too much for me. So I think that is an example of something kind of just popping into awareness again. It can be very intense. So yeah, that's why the pacing is very important. This training was really there to really take our time and not rush. It's really, I think, natural for us these days, the tendencies to just like try to jump into the deep end right away. Or, like you were saying, the heart, you start to feel that wake up. Sometimes you just try to go directly to some part like the heart, it's gonna be obstructed by all these certain ways. And this training allows us to really find this gentle pathway to approach things that are offline and not have it just spill out.
Yeah, I'll say it's like almost like a byproduct of you now coming in contact with this parts of you that you're ignoring.
Yeah, maybe for years or decades, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And I guess it makes sense also if we look into the cycle of insight, the process of purification, like after you got the release, then come the dissolution, then
Mm.
comes disorientation, the dizziness, and like the fear comes up, the sense of like, woe is me, why is it happening to me? My life was going great. Now I have to deal with this. Dark
Hmm.
night. I
I
think
think
Kyle,
Frank,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say real quick that I forgot to mention, but Frank did mention in the chat at the very beginning of this sit, before any instructions, it's good to take a snapshot of just how you are at that moment. I'm wondering if anyone actually just made note of just how they were before this session, and then maybe how they might feel now. That'd be really interesting to hear.
Yeah. Maybe Kyle, you can go and compare between your before and after.
Yeah, before I was feeling tired and relaxed, and then during the sit there was a lot of restlessness, and I noticed that there was almost like this guilt coming up of like even like having a body or like being in a body. And it was like triggered by, I don't know, it felt very loving, like a very, very loving, compassionate guidance. Um, but there was like a lot of like shame around being in the body. Um, and I want to say it was like the deepest I ever felt myself go in meditation. Um,
Wow.
especially like with the breath. Uh, I put in the chat like there were times when I'd inhale and it felt like it was like taking forever for me to exhale, and I would like get scared. Um, so I'm very like I'm kind of like amazed at how that went, and also like a little like scared. There's like some like nervousness here now.
Mhm.
So yeah. But
Yeah. I'm
overall,
only
like,
laughing because, yeah,
yeah.
thanks for sharing. I'm only laughing because I remember going through those experiences myself of like, oh my God, like time doesn't really make sense too when you're that absorbed, right? I remember a situation when I really fell into this meditation stuff by accident. I was just trying to let my body settle, and it's like after the body kind of is allowed to be in this neutral position where it's just not very much signal going on, all there was this breath happening, and it becomes so slow and time wouldn't make sense. So then I would feel this complete stillness between breaths where the only thing that I could really feel at that time was the heartbeat. And then I would zoom into that, and then I'd see the stillness in between heartbeats where the only thing happening was thoughts. And then if I honed it into that, the gap between thoughts felt like nothing. I was like, holy shit, am I gonna forget to breathe? Am I just gonna fucking fall out of my body? Like this is crazy. So I mean, looking back, I really enjoyed it, but I remember like freaking out and be like, where's my body? And it felt like it took like a few seconds to even like get back into it after getting that deep or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's there's a lot to your breath that you can explore, you know. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, but
I think one of the ways to kind of ground yourself when you're working with the breath and you're feeling scared is to notice that in between state or non-state between the inhale and the exhale.
mm,
It's I think it's a singularity, right? And
that's right. I didn't talk very much about that.
I remember when I first started getting into meditation, there was a teacher that said that gap between the inhale and the exhale, expansion and contraction, that's the only thing that's true. Everything else is bullshit. That's a cool anchor, but then you see, oh, that gap between inhale and exhale, you can call that the deathless, but that non-dimensionality actually expands and includes both the expansion and contraction, the inhale and exhale.
Hmm.
Actually,
Yeah,
it's the point about like, going beyond but include, right? You don't want to like
yeah, yeah.
hang on to that point, but it's a good anchor. I mean, once you see that anchor and when ground yourself, oh, actually all the expansion, contraction, all the rising and ceasing are actually also dimensionless. Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Oh yeah, John, you didn't mention that part today. I forget.
Yeah, no, normally I would. I kind of
Yeah.
didn't think about
Workshop
the
two. Let's go.
bardo,
3 weeks
yeah,
from
Workshop
now.
workshop
two.
too.
Yeah.
Look
How to
look
Workshop
get
forward
two.
to
find the
the
deathless
bardo
in
of
the
the
breath.
breath.
The bardo of the
Yeah,
breath. Yeah,
right.
that's that.
The
Battle of
That's
the
bardo
brain.
of the
the bardo of
breath,
the breath.
yeah.
Alka's
And like
first.
even what you were describing earlier, I think it was who was sharing Kyle. You feel like, oh my God, am I not even breathing? Am I gonna forget how to breathe? It's that's an insistence on like the breath should be a certain way. Really,
Yeah.
when I examine in the moment during trainings like this, it's like I don't even think I'm breathing right now. It just feels like air is just kind of moving on its own way, but it's like there's hardly any movement happening yet. I'm not dead, I don't think.
Yeah. And it was one of the really interesting about like seeing that relationship between inhale and exhale. It's like you can expand that to like even the cycles of insight, right? Like dark night or the blissful expansion that precedes
Hmm.
that. It's like seeing that relationship with the contraction and expansion is like quite important because a lot of time we insist on like not wanting to be contracted and just like, oh, there's a push towards like expensiveness, but we don't see that.
Hmm.
That's an extreme view of like,
Yeah.
Right.
eternalism. The other side of that is like an extreme of like annihilationism or like an annihilation.
Get rid of the
Annihilate,
body.
get rid of the body. It's the same self,
Yeah.
right? But then seeing that relationship is really important.
I think so Scott posed a question. Is there any insight to be gained from feeling your head, limbs, body get heavier and heavier until collapsing onto the floor? There's also a couple of others questions relating to like the different shape of your that you feel into your body. Like it suddenly become like really long. Your body become really long, or your limbs become very big, or like you become super small. And I think all those kind of altered state of experience of your embodiment could also highlight to you usually how
Yeah,
much of an insistent
previously.
we hold.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We insist
It's like,
our
oh my
body
God,
to look this way. Yeah.
this feels too weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we insist on previously our body has to be this way or our breath has to be this way. But once we
Yeah.
start to de-escalate and let go of that insistency, we enter an altered state. Right? But then
Mhm.
we cling on to that, right? Without that turn into its own consistency if we're not careful. Might
Even the
co-create.
insistence on how to look at your body, you still feel like even with your eyes closed that you're looking from here down to your,
Mm,
you know, stomach or something like that. But really there's a way to see from the stomach directly. And I've had experiences where I'm like there and take a look around like, oh shit, my head's up there, my heart's up there. Like I'm just in the
Mm.
gut right now. It's just
mm,
training to put down that insistence on even how to look at something as a non-object, right? It's almost like the breath at first is the object of meditation, but through this training, it becomes the subject. Our breath in our body is the subject. So
So it's
there's that
because
gap that we're
separate
jumping. Yeah.
closing
is
that
what
gap
I'm
between
saying.
object and subject.
Yeah. There's also this phenomenon of I think we found that as we start to embody, we notice how heavy our sense of being is, like really heavy. And then we make sense like, oh, this is why I procrastinate all the time. Like this is how heavy I feel about life. Like I can't move. But like previously we were so numb, we just noticed that we are doom scrolling or skipping out on things, waiting till the last minute. But this is how I actually feel about my life. I'm extremely bloated, like
Mm,
so bloated. And then from the kind of embodiment or these kind of rerouting, allowing this energy to regulate itself again, then we can get fitter.
mm,
I do think there's like a lot of friction in my everyday life to do anything at all. So that is perhaps a manifestation of that. That I
mm,
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
free
Mhm.
association is just weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we just want to, like there's a part of it that just want to collapse on the floor, right? It just drop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so like it feels like we have to lift up so much like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
truthfully, that's kind of what we are. This physical body is really the condensation of everything that we hold, right? And in this training, we one start to see what we're holding. Two, maybe put down some stuff we don't need to hold. But three, increase the fitness to be able to hold that shit. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. A lot of the step is to rest so that we see how much stuff we are holding. And it's time we were saying like renounce. Like, do we have to make some decision to cut some things off? We're holding on too much. Like so the let go becomes like, oh, immediately we feel that relief, but then we can start to take different actions with our life. I don't need to
mm.
think about that anymore. I'm just accept that's the way it is. And move on.
Cool.
and even on the flip side, whatever we see that we're holding, we can also become very comfortable and shameless about what we do hold too.
Yeah. So shame, guilt, being greedy, all these kind of afflictions are running the show, manifesting into our sense of being.
Yeah, I think a good way to reframe like this rejection of all these negative emotions is kind of like seeing them not as a bug, but as a feature to our practice. It's like a signal. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything that arises that's uncomfortable, resistance, that they're just signals for you to, hey, I want to be felt, I want to be seen, I want to be expressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like even the 0 to 10 scale we were just having at the poll, if some of you guys are hitting 0 or 1 or 2, that doesn't even necessarily mean a bad sit, right? Or like that could be, oh, I've just discovered so much restlessness. Let me actually work through this.
Mm.
The other side is also true that sometimes we hit a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 sit, and the next 3 sits is terrible because we try to reproduce that one.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the insistence on like what a good sit is. Like so much of our time is wasted on just producing a particular conditioned state. You just keep going back to that good sit, good sit. We get very good at producing it, but then that's actually the hindrance.
Yeah, that kind of peak in high school, but for spiritual practitioner. You just want to keep go back to high school. Let's go back to that good sit, that good old time where,
The good old time, the prom king.
yeah.
But you actually you're kind of you're fat now.